morning, good morning. My name is Joanna Malone, and I am going to be sharing the Seventh Heaven Protocol with you guys. I would say it's probably one of the things within Young Living that has changed my path the most for the better. It definitely has transformed a lot of different parts of me. Hi everybody, good morning. And I'm super passionate about sharing it. And I'm really excited for you guys to hopefully incorporate it into your lives, into your business. That's also the thing about this protocol is it can be used for your personal life, and it can absolutely be used for your business, finding a new level, a new gear towards your dreams. And also it can just help you in personal life to create peace. And so before we start, I want those of you that are on here, or if you're watching the replay, to use the chat and just kind of check in with yourself and see what feelings you're feeling now before you're starting it. Like, what feelings have you been feeling this morning? Have you been running around, been going faster? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel really great? Do you feel inspired, not inspired? Just use some quick words to kind of just check in with yourself to see how you're feeling. Karin is feeling peace, probably because it's really beautiful and white and snowy up in Tahoe. Snow definitely can bring that grounding peace. What I suggest, when I was doing this protocol, the longest I did it was 45 days in a row. And I had a space in my home. Actually, it was in my bed, but I had them all, had all the oils on my nightstand. And so that was kind of like my area where I did it. I felt a lot of peace there. That's also where I was trying to bring more peace because I wasn't sleeping that great. And so set up a space in your home where you will be able to bring in this new feeling. And so the first oil in the protocol is Sacred Mountain. Oh, and for those of you guys that didn't grab the oils before, I'll just rattle them off really quick. You guys can go grab whatever ones that you have. It's Sacred Mountain, Inspiration, Awaken, Gathering, Humility, Dreamcatcher, and White Angelica. And even if you just have one or two of those, grab whatever ones you have. And a good substitute for inspiration is cedarwood. It has a lot of the same oils. Or cedarwood is the main oil in inspiration, has a lot of the same chemical makeup. Okay, so the first oil is Sacred Mountain. This is also an oil you can reach for if you're feeling weak and you need to find some grounding. Gary created this oil for protection, strength, and security. So if you're leaning into fear, this is an amazing oil to reach for. And the reason that he created this oil was because when he used to live in the city and wanted to create a sense of peace, he would go up to the mountains. So that was his sanctuary. In the mountains, he felt like he could communicate easier, away from the lower frequencies of the city and the hustle and the bustle, to a place to feel quiet and be able to communicate with a higher self or sacred self, God, whoever you tend to lean towards when you need to feel more grounded. Sacred Mountain creates strength and grounding. It's like the messages when you're inhaling it. So for this protocol, you can either just inhale Sacred Mountain, or what I like to do is I like to put it in my hair. You know, like our hair is like the best diffuser that we have. I mean, yeah, everyone needs to have an Aria or two, but our hair comes with us everywhere we go all day long. So this is really your most amazing diffuser right here. So when we're away from those lower frequencies, we tend to get away from other people's messages. If it's worthiness issues that come up, or that you're not doing enough, and it's causing you to move forward at a slower pace. So this is just a really nice way to like ground yourself in the beginning of the protocol. So this is the oil number 1. Then we're gonna move on to inspiration. This is an oil I love to start business meetings with. If you have sat around my dining room table for a business meeting or for an oil meetup or testimony time or whatever, I like to walk around and do a drop on everyone's head before we start. So that is how you use the oil for this protocol. I like to think of this one for when you need inner peace. So this one is for strength, and this Sacred Mountain is for strength. Inspiration is to create an inner peace. So it works in our limbic system, in the glands in the brain. Also, I heard somebody say once that it's like a connection to the divine, like a highway. So when you drop the oil on the top of your head and you just like, you imagine it or you visualize it going down your spine, out in your entire nervous system, in your entire body. And it's that connection right up to the divine. To bring you closer to God, to what your thoughts, your ideas of God. And it also stimulates the desire to communicate. So whether that is communicating with God, communicating with your higher self, it stimulates that desire. And this is a quote from Gary. He says, "Oils don't make us more spiritual. Oils stimulate the mind and create a feeling of inner peace that brings us into the space of wanting to go after what is good and right for us." So if I think of myself 9 years ago before I started oils and I wasn't feeling good, I still do this to this day, but back then it was all I did. You reach for the things that are not necessarily good for you when you're not in a good space. Now, if you tend to, maybe you go towards meditation, you go towards your oils, you go towards healthier foods. So it makes us do the things that are good and right for us instead of the things that are not good and right for us. So this is a great one to diffuse when you're feeling sad or uptight. Because what it does is it humbles ourselves to be able to ask for direction. And a lot of the times, that is kind of what holds us back. That's why I love this protocol for our business, because it's our own voice, our own peace, away from other people's opinions. Okay, so that was number 1 and number 2. The third oil, Awaken. Are you guys a fan of Awaken? Have you guys been using Awaken? And if you start using this one regularly, you will feel that your gas tank gets filled up to a new level. That's a fact. That's how it happens to me every time. I think of this oil as a get unstuck oil. So if you feel stuck, whether it's because of pandemic and well, we're still kind of in the recovery, I believe, of lockdowns, because when we're feeling stuck, we can't execute our dreams. And that's not what we want for our teams, for ourselves, for our friends, for our family. And so we can't really set goals and work towards them if we're stuck. Everything around us in today's society, whether it's chemicals, food, air, water, environment, all of those things suppress the mind and the body functions. And if that is suppressed, then we're not living our best life. We're not moving forward. We're not taking chances. So I personally have felt very stuck multiple times during this journey. When I was going through infertility, I had a lot of worthiness issues and a lot of not feeling enough. And I got really stuck. I couldn't really show up. I wasn't feeling good enough to show up. And it happened again in postpartum 2 years ago. It was really bad. I couldn't even show up for my own team, which now looking back at it, thank God for this protocol, and thank God for Gary for this protocol, because this protocol helped me get unstuck in ways that I didn't really see coming. So Awaken creates confidence. So if you need a confidence boost to get unstuck, this is the oil for you. And how we use this, we put it in our hand, a drop here, and then, or 2 or 3, we activate it, and you put it from one side of your forehead over to the other side. And I believe it's from the right to the left. It brings your subconscious mind to your conscious mind. And this, I'm gonna read another quote here from Gary. You can visualize it creating that as you're breathing in the aroma and applying it to your temples. You're visualizing it creating that frequency of your mind and around you to help you wake up to your full potential. And here's a quote from Gary. Awaken balances your state of mind and emotions during a time of self-adjustment. It allows a gentle change towards renewal and balance, which helps us through the transition and reach our potential. I mean, if this is not an oil that we all need right now, with all of the transitions we've been going through the last 2-3 years, we need this, and we need to give ourselves grace through it. But it allows us to balance our emotions during that time, because we can easily get a little bit emotional when things are changing or when we're not feeling grounded. So yeah, it helps us move forward and actually do the things that we need to do. So build a relationship with this oil, you guys. This oil will help you be an achiever and a goal setter. If you think about Gary and think about how many risks he took for us to have Young Living in our lives, to have the products in our lives, he was a major risk taker. And we need to carry that forward, and we need to take the risks. Jot down some goals after this to see, like, what is it, that one thing that you've been not doing that you need to do to achieve your own dreams. Yeah. So this is another one. If you're feeling stressed, sad, hormonal imbalances, all of that stuff takes away what we're meant to do. So there's another one. The next one is gathering. People usually have a love or hate thing with this oil. This one you put on your temples. I believe Gary used it as an aftershave. But I don't shave, so I'm putting it on my temples. So this one I like to call the comparison oil. Who have finding yourself in the comparison trap? Who compares yourself? I do it every day. But this oil can bring us out of that. It will bring other people's lower frequencies, thoughts, and the bombardment of that energy coming to us. It will bring your thoughts center forward. So you can focus on your own voice, your own beliefs, and just erase all that other lower frequency that you don't need. So it's almost like a delete button to comparison, if you will. It helps us filter through the misinformation, and also so to have that direct pipeline to the divine. That's gathering. And the next oil, one of my favorite oils, it's a really hard oil to tell people that they need to invest in, that they need to get, but it's actually one of my favorite oils for building a business and also for personal growth. It is humility. It has a lot of amazing oils in it. It has rose, melissa. Let's see here, I don't think I have my glasses on, but yeah, it has like all sorts of amazing oils in here. Vetiver, rose. Yep, it has melissa. Yeah, so this one, and this protocol can take you 30 seconds or it can take you 30 minutes. This part of the protocol, so you put, I usually put the humility on my fingertips, and then I give myself a ear massage. So this part of the protocol, I usually sit here for quite a bit. I was finding myself when I was doing the protocol a lot, I would always do it first thing in the morning before I would get out of bed. But then I could tell like the stress or like the thoughts, the snowball effect of thoughts would come at me again around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So then I would literally just like go in my closet and sit on the floor and just like do it really fast. Not as much time and thoughts and effort went into it in the afternoon as it did in the morning, but it was like another quick reset. So when we're sick, and this oil doesn't work in the way where like you have it in your pocket and you're all of a sudden humble. But when we're sick or angry, or not walking in freedom, we are not in a humble space. And so a lot of times if we're not in a humble space, our walls are up. If our walls are up, you're not open to true connection. You're not open to being vulnerable or even accepting other people's vulnerability, because you think you're going into a situation already knowing what you're going to expect. So you're not coming in with an open heart to learn, or be coachable, it doesn't open up. It doesn't open us up to the true connections, really is what it comes down to. So when we're humble, we're in more control of our emotions. It makes us more natural, so we don't come in with a judgment. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from this. Like, I always kind of thought I was right. When I started really using this oil, it opened up a whole new world to me. When you know what you don't know, or when you know that you don't know everything, everything changes. And so I believe that when I was finding myself in a humble space is actually when I allowed Jesus to come in. So this is also why I'm so passionate about this oil, because I do believe that it led me to an experience with the Holy Spirit, which is pretty massive, and I'm very grateful for that. And when I did this protocol for a friend of mine, for Jessica Petty in here, and her team, she said she was actually talking to Gary in 2014 at one of the Hawaii trips, and she said that he said, "This is the oil that brings you closest to God." And I just like lost it, started crying, because it was just something that I had never heard, I never knew, but it was just my story. So then my story coupled with that information afterwards was like pretty incredible. Let's see what else we got here. So how does this work? Woohoo. Is it just a bunch of woohoo? Another quote from Gary. And how it works is simply through the frequency of the oil, that it stimulates the pineal gland and pituitary gland, the secretions of the endorphins and peptides and neurotransmitters that create that feeling deep down in our bosoms inside that makes us feel that way when we're in need of being in that space. So it's all science up in our brain, how it makes us feel that way. It's not just like putting it in our pocket and it changes our mindset. That's why I love that this oil is one of the best ones for building a business, because of how it changes your mindset. And also, when we're in a humble space, we're better at receiving direction, but also we're also a greater teacher. And most of all, better service to others. Okay. So that's my story about humility. The next one, dream catcher. I've only in the past, before this protocol entered my life, used it for my daughters, or for Elle when she would have night terrors. And I kid you not, she would go from screaming in her sleep, and I would swipe it across her forehead, to laughing in the same breath. And that's not a joke. Like that happens at least maybe 20 times over the last 9 years. And then when I started learning more about Dreamcatcher, diving deeper into this protocol, it basically is like a positive visualization tool. That's why a lot of times when you set your intentions for the year or for the week or for the month, this is an oil that a lot of people reach for. It filters out the garbage. That's basically what it does. It doesn't pull the negative things in that we often tend to make up things in our mind to self-sabotage messages. So this just takes all that self-sabotaging away, and keeps everything very pure. So by the time you've done Sacred Mountain, Inspiration, Awaken, Gathering, and Humility, you're usually in a pretty good place. So then if you just take some Dreamcatcher, and this is also a place in the protocol where you can spend 30 seconds or you can spend 30 minutes, because it just feels really good. It's like you can't bring in any of those negative thoughts. It can also help you process your day. If you've had a long day, you can basically just come in your house, get some Dreamcatcher, and see the truth and what messages were not truth. It's like a little mini mind vacation. That's what Gary says. So this is also a really good place to visualize what your next steps would be, what you would, the next steps that you feel you can take. And then the very last oil is White Angelica. So this is just to protect the energy that you created, during this protocol, because you want to keep that little cocoon feeling. Wrapping it in a close little cocoon, like seal the deal. That's the protocol. And it's what has completely changed my life, my business. It's also a great one you can do before you go teach a class, before you connect with friends, anytime if you're gonna go on stage, or even before you jump on it live. It's just a really grounding, positive, takes away all the stuff that doesn't belong in your head, and you just find peace. Now, if those of you guys that did it with me, if any of you guys did, can you guys use the chat to tell me some feelings that are coming up now? Oftentimes I hear I went from overwhelmed to peaceful. I went from frazzled to joyful. And a lot of the times it's just also quiet afterwards, which is nice, because a lot of the times we need quiet so we can bring in new thoughts, new ideas, new truths, or the truth if it's quiet. And as I was talking, was there one oil where you're like, oh, I gotta have that oil? From sad to peace. That's beautiful. Clear-minded. Clear-minded comes up a lot, and I think that's just like filtering away all that, the negative, lower frequency thoughts. So a lot of the time the clear comes in. Confident and joy, hopeful, uplifted. Calm, relaxed. Awaken, I need that now. Okay, Iris, come on over. I have a couple extra bottles. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me or put the questions in the comments and I'll get back to you. Like I said, I am super, super passionate about this. Get on Zoom with your teams and do it. You can also send out, like make little drams of each oil and send it out to your team and do it over Zoom. Over Zoom it's really nice because you can really read people better than if it's just me and then you guys on the other side. I really like to interface more with people when we're doing it. It's really nice. It really brings like a vulnerable authenticity to it that just hits home. So thank you guys.